Welcome back to one more push. Thanks for tuning in to Blender Builds. And today we're going to develop some 3D text in Blender. So if you're not familiar, this is going to be a very simple tutorial for beginners. We're going to develop some text, make it 3D, add some geometry, and add a very simple lighting and material setup. So first thing we want to do is delete our default content and click Shift A, then select text. And as a beginner, what always threw me off with this is how do I edit that text? As a Cinema 4D user, I'm used to hopping over to the attribute pane and typing in my text. Now in Blender, it's very simple. Once you have it in view, you just hit Tab and then go ahead and type your changes in. So I'm gonna type in the text that I want. Blender Builds. And then from there, just select the text tab and you can see we have options. Let's start with font. So let's go and select our regular font. So depending on what you have installed on your computer, that's gonna adjust what your options are here. So I'm just gonna go and select something kind of chunky. You can select any font you want and get a real-time preview. If it doesn't look right, just go back in and select a different font. And once you have a font that you're happy with, let's make some adjustments to the spacing. So you can see here we have under alignment, we have horizontal and vertical alignment, and then under spacing, we have line spacing. I'm just gonna nudge that up a little bit so that the second line is a little closer to the top line. That looks good. Now I can exit edit mode. And what I want to do is center this text in the middle of the screen. Once that's done, I'm going to pop open my geometry tab and I want to extrude this text. Now clearly you can't see the extrusion, so I'm just going to change my perspective a little bit, and right away you can see the depth. Right there we have a 1/2 meter of extrusion added to our text, which is frankly a bit much. I'm messing around with the offsets, which I'm not going to need on this, so I set that to 0. Extrude, let's drop that down a little bit. And now let's adjust the depth of my bevel. I think 0.05 should be good. And let's select a profile that looks good. So I'm just going to go through some of the presets until I find one I like. Actually, this one's not bad, but the depth is a little high, so I'm just gonna click it down and then select a different preset. Zoom in tighter so I can see what it's doing. Looks fine, but I think the molding looks the best here. So now all we have to do is add a new material. Click new. You can name the material if you like. But what I want to do is make like a yellow gold kind of material. And I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm just going to select the color I want, which is sort of an orange color. Activate render mode so that you can see the material that you're building. Now I'm going to turn the metallic up to 1. And right away you can notice you're not seeing much of a change because there's no lights in the scene. So let's add a point light. And what I want to do is move that back in Z space so that it's behind the text. And I want to use this first light as my backlight. This is going to help to light the extrusion and add some depth to your image. I'm going to change the power of the light up to 100 and then increase the radius. Now right away you can see some of that depth is lit and it's looking kind of nice, but we're not seeing any of the detail on top. So I'm going to duplicate that light, move it forward in Z space. And now we start to get some of that detail in the face. It's a little bland right now, so let's duplicate that light again. Let's duplicate that light a few more times. Move one off to the top left, duplicate again, one off to the top right. I'm going to turn the power up on that light just for now. So the great thing about building materials in Blender is everything is super flexible. So I can go back and change my base color a little bit. And that looks a little closer to like the Blender icon color. One thing I know I want to do is turn the roughness down, and this is going to add some reflection to our text. So now you can see the lights bouncing off it. I'd like to see something more in my reflection, so first thing I'm going to do is adjust my lights. Again, this is completely flexible, so as I go, I'm going to make changes to my radius, my power, and the color of my lights until I'm happy with the aesthetic. So let's add a camera. Hit 0 to go to camera perspective, and to open up your transform panes, click view, click camera to perspective, and scroll my wheel backwards, and that's going to allow me to frame up my text within my camera. That's actually looking pretty nice, but I'd like to see some more things inside my reflection, so let's see what we can do. First, I'm going to frame that out just how I want it. Now let's look at our render settings. Put it in cycles mode and change it to GPU compute if your computer allows that. Now I'm going to turn my max samples down to 300. Make sure denoise is turned on. Then I'm going to adjust my viewport settings to match my render settings just so I can see what a true render will look like. Then I want to make the background transparent. So all I have to do is in your render settings, click film, and in that drop down, check the transparent box. Now I'm going to scroll down to color management, make sure that my look is set to high contrast or medium high contrast. And that looks pretty good, so let's render this out. So go up to render, render image. And there you have it. As soon as the render is complete, as soon as all 300 samples are complete, then you just go to image, save as, and you can save your 3D text for whatever you need. Thanks for tuning in to One More Push. If you found this tutorial useful, like, follow, subscribe, feel free to make comments and tag me in anything you create. Thanks for tuning in. Don't give up. Give it one more push.